And we are live on Discovery Paranormal. How are you guys doing out there? I'll tell you, man, when people go over on their time, I don't like that stuff. I don't like that stuff, man. That's all I'm going to say. Come on, man, the malarkey, man. So, tonight's show is all about the CIA. It's all about clandestine operations. It's all about hiring mediums to intercept people's thoughts, go into their dreams, and map out other planets above all. So, this, I talk about this every once in a while. During other shows, I'll mention this CIA report, and then it's been a while since I've actually sunk my teeth into it. So, that's what tonight's going to be. We're going to talk about mapping out Mars and what the CIA found astonishing, incredible. It's like sometimes when you see stuff, you say to yourself, "Oh my God, this is incredible." Usually someone says something to you, "Hey, I saw this," or "I got a picture of that," or "There's a thing up in the sky." You're like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, whatever, man." I mean, I have pictures of full body apparitions, and still people aren't like, "Oh my God." Every once in a while, people are like, "Wow." So I don't know what. There's no wow factor. It's a full body operation. If you've ever thought about if there's an afterlife or whatever, I got pictures. Got pictures. Anyway, when it comes to aliens or other worldly creatures or other universally creatures, universal creatures, we don't know anything because we, the people, don't have the info. Unfortunately, there are entities that probably have way, 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 way more info than we could ever even imagine. And they don't want to come out with it. And usually when it's like that, it's something that's going to ruin their game. Like come out with information, like make the people who are in control obsolete, realizing that we are all individuals, but we're all connected. There's like this mushroom plant up there, Alaska way, and the plant itself, all these little mushrooms popping up all over the place, but it's all one plant. Underneath, it's all in there. They could be 100 miles long by 60 miles the other way. These enormous living creatures, right? Popping up all these little mushrooms. So I like to think of it like people are mushrooms. Yeah, you're a mushroom. That's why they keep you in the dark and feed you on shit. You're a mushroom. So welcome to your world, mushroom. Anyway, the CIA have declassified documents just to make people more crazy because this is the CIA. I do give credibility to some sources, not many, but some. And when people tell me stuff, well, yeah, 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 I need to experience it myself. Don't tell me about the chocolate cake. I want to taste it and check it out myself. You know, I don't care about like, all right, I love stories, man. You got a ghost story, a UFO story. You saw a Sasquatch or a two-headed whatever. I want to hear it. I'm in the business to believe people. I want to hear it. I want to help you with either your psychosis or your real life sighting. I want to help you with either or. I'm a helpful kind of guy, right? But the CIA, so they panicked when Russia, at that point, the Soviet Union, had this program of training mediums to find intelligence on the U.S. Right? They needed it that bad that they trained these amazing, powerful mediums, and I believe it. I've met psychic mediums that were so just connected. They're freaking connected, man. And you're like, wow. It just proves to you that some people are way, 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 way more sensitive than others. I like to think that everyone's got some kind of level of sensitivity. It depends on what gets in the way. Sometimes your brain gets in the way. And did I hear that? No, it was something else, and that type of stuff, right? Did I see that? Did I have that dream? Sometimes people lose hours and they can't, they don't know how it happened. They've lost hours. They don't know how to happen. So, there's an answer for everything. I will say that. In this world of questions, there's an answer for everything. For every move, there's a counter move. So there is an answer for everything. You may not like the answer, you may not get the answer, but there is an answer. So let's talk about Stargate. 2 words. Stargate. Stargate was one of a number of remote viewing programs. I've talked about remote viewing before. If we have enough time on the show, which we probably will, a few minutes extra anyway, I'll tell you how to start remote viewing for yourself and fine tune your abilities. It's actually pretty easy to start, you know, the exercises. And once you get it down pat, I mean, some people are really good at it. Some people take that and go to Vegas. So, all right. So these remote viewing programs are conducted under a variety of code names: Sunstreak, Grill Flame, Center Lane, all that, like all kinds of. Now, one of those guys get paid sitting around thinking about these names. I have the name Sunstreak. Yes, yes, Sunstreak. And the rest of them are like, let's go out and have some drinks. Sunstreak. Apparently, they would put this information and how many martini glasses that they needed after they received the information to cope back in life. Because these guys, this is a long time ago, and these guys were just kind of, new to the game, right? This information was something that's pondered maybe in science fiction movies and things like that, but not in the real world, not in the world of what they knew. Apple pie, root, whatever. Apple pie and baseball, their games and whatever. In England, a little cricket. Cricket. I love a cricket bat. I'll tell you, man. There's no better device. If there's a zombie apocalypse, you don't want a gun. Forget it. You want the cricket bat. So Shaun of the Dead. I love that. Anyway, so this effort, putting these groups together, was initiated, like I said, in response about the Soviet, their psychic phenomenon between 69 and 71. And they, of course, you got to keep up with the Joneses, right? The Soviets' psychotronic research. Psychotron, yes. The initial research program called SCANATE, scan by coordinate. See, that has a little bit of a better edge to it. SCANATE, SCANATE. Kind of hard to say though. SCANATE. Yes, scan. They probably have to say scan by coordinate after they say SCANATE. SCANATE. Scan by coordinate. Was funded by the CIA in 1970. Remote viewing research began in 1972 at the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, in Menlo Park, California. This work was conducted by Russell Targ and Harold Putoff. Oh my God, not Harold Putoff. He puts everything off. I want Harold do it. Give me Harold do it right now. Let this Putoff. Once, I wonder why people are named the way their name is going to be put up. Apparently, your names all come from some kind of thing back in your past. Probably in his past, they had people that would put everything off, and that's how they got. So, right, he was once with the NSA, and at a time. Now, all right, let me just kind of slide this in there. In the mid '60s, the NSA had received these images on the dark side of the moon of these alien bases. And then they actually called in cryptographers to map it out. And this guy going in there, the guy said he thought it was NASA. It wasn't really registered NSA. And then he goes in there and the guy shows him all these photographs of this crazy stuff. Then the guy starts getting nervous that he didn't have clearance to see this stuff and wasn't supposed to see this stuff, and he thought he was going to be black bagged after that. Yep. Called into a room. Excuse me. Can I have your opinion on something? Nope. So keep that in mind when you're keeping all of this in mind, right? So this effort focused on a few gifted individuals, such as New York artist Ingo Swann, an OT level 7 Scientologist. Many of the SRI empaths were from the Church of Scientology. Isn't that interesting? The Church of Scientology. Maybe there's something to that. Hmm. 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 Church of Scientology. What the hell was it? There I am. So individuals who appeared to show potential were trained and taught to use talents from psychic warfare or psychic warfare, battling it out with your coming at you in your psychic, almost like voodoo. I mean, I would put that in the same realm as voodoo or anything, any of those dark arts where you're gonna send a whole bunch of negativity to somebody, power or whatever, scorpion snakes and whatever. Not as easy as putting a snake in someone's mailbox. Yes. Who says that's easy? Who says that's easy? The minimum accuracy needed by the clients was said to be at 65%. And the proponents claim that in the later stages of the training effort, this accuracy level was often consistently exceeded. So you're dealing with some good people. I've worked, like I said, I've worked with good psychics. I've met psychics that were full of shit, Robbie Thomas. And I've met psychics that were 100% awesome with their ability, Cindy Thompson, right? People like that. She's local. Done investigations with her. I love it. I don't tell them anything. They come in, they get an address. That's about it. Unless I'm driving them there. I don't tell them anything, psychic mediums, nothing. I want them to tell me. Even when I have a ton of information, I'll say a word. Not a word. So, okay. Gondola Wish was a 1977 Army Assistant Chief of Staff for Intelligence, ACSI. You probably heard that. Systems Exploitation Detachment, SED. Oh my God. No wonder why there's so many acronyms there, because it's going to save your time. At the ACSI, the SED. Like, what? What? The effort to evaluate potential adversary applications of remote viewing. Okay, so anyway, let's get past all of this because we're focusing on Mars. And the more I see of Mars, the only thing we're doing on Mars with our little rovers is kind of leaving trash behind. That's what I really feel. They're experimenting, they're doing their thing, and that's all cool. But people are asking the question, why haven't they found the pyramids? Why haven't they found all these things? We know it's there. Well, you know why? Because they don't want you to know about these things. That's why. It's a matter of national security. And you just pay for the show, but you're not privy to the information. Y'all, you pay for it. That's your taxes. You should get some kind of return of your investment, a little information on your ROI without the men in black coming to visit you or whoever else, whomever. So, okay. This is a case where they were mapping out the surface of Mars. And if you want to learn about remote viewing and Stargate and all the other programs that they have, you can certainly look it up. There's a lot of information. It's interesting reading once you get past the acronyms. It could be a little acronymy, but interesting reading. And all these programs were well funded, they existed, they found a ton of information and, little bits and pieces of it, sure, declassified. It's amazing that the CIA declassified this particular report because it's like a message to people. It's showing something. It's letting you know, like my full body apparition pictures. letting you know that there's a bigger world out there. That, or maybe it's where we came from. And I'm going to slide into Enoch after this, after that. So, Mars exploration, all right, May 22nd, 1984. I graduated. That's when I came to this earth. They released me from high school. Release me. Release me. I must get out of this place. Oh my God, it was horrible. It really was. Plus, I was a fat kid in school, and that was horrible. People make your life a living hell when you're a fat kid in school. They don't care how bad they hurt you. They don't care. You want to go kill yourself. Luckily, I was a big fat kid, and I would stomp on them. I wasn't one of those little short fat ones, but I stuck up for them too. Right? I was the bully of the bullies, man. I was the capo T Tootie bully of bullies. God damn it. Back to Mars. Get back to Mars. The planet Mars. So this is the deal. CIA agent sitting down with psychic medium. CIA agent has envelopes in his hands. He hands an envelope to the psychic medium. The psychic medium opens the envelope and looks at what's inside and its coordinates for the planet Mars. Coordinates. The psychic medium is to tell the agent what's at those coordinates. So it's not like, hey, we're going to map out Mars. It's not like, hey, we're going to do this. Hey, we're going to do this. They knew the planet, but you'd have to be pretty amazing to be able to memorize all the coordinates of all the objects they want to investigate on the surface of Mars. So, and they did this with other agents also. So they're looking for different answers or looking for the same answer, and just an exhaustive process of trying to find the truth, and also making sure that your mediums and your psychic mediums are up to standards, right? So think of that. The planet Mars, time about 1,000,000 years ago. 1,000,000 years. Now think about the Earth 1,000,000 years ago. I mean, you weren't here, right? And you know that there was, at different periods, all kinds of dinosaurs, this, that, and other thing, going back depending how far, and blah 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 blah, and whatever they think they've proven, and whatever they think, But 1,000,000 years ago, you got mankind walking around, right? Maybe some remnants of whatever they said during this explosion that apparently had happened, which they said it was a meteor, even though they really can't find the crater that it made. But this aerial explosion that killed off most of the larger life on the planet, the big dinosaurs, the T-Rex, all the big muckety mucks, gone, right? They found dinosaur tracks in Utah. Here in the United States, they found them all over the place. And think of the terms of this: in the South Pole, no ice, nothing like that. And they found, dinosaur tracks down there, and they know that the South Pole one time was all plush and green, as was Egypt, So you have to think in terms of change, climate change over the years. I mean, the Ice Age came on. It wasn't brought on because of power plants or chemical factories, even though those things can be dangerous, right? Especially chemical factories and whatever. But it was brought on from whatever reason. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know anything. You go back, even look at Noah. They don't know when the hell Noah lived. They're like, oh, thousands of years. They don't know. They can guess, but they don't know. Unless you know, then you don't know. Now Noah apparently lived 900 something years, right? Big dude. They have a lot of that going on back then. So this is a story of traveling and terraforming and engineering And it all starts for your story. It all starts with the CIA report. But I'm gonna stretch this report like silly putty, man. And I'm gonna connect for you. I'll connect it just for you. Nobody else. Okay, here we go. So this is the agent talking to the psychic, and the agent gives the guy the envelope. Okay, he said he's like, all right, now using the information in the envelope I provided exclusively, focusing your attention now. Using the information in the envelope, focus on 40.89 degrees north, 9.55 degrees west. So think about it. What the hell does that mean to you? Nothing, unless you're, oh, I know. No, you don't know. I don't know what that is either. But the psychic says, I said, I want to say it looks like I don't know. I'm gonna read it just like he says it. I want to say it looks like I don't know. It sort of looks like I kind of got an oblique view of a pyramid or pyramid form. It's very high. It's kind of sitting in a large depressed area. Agent says, all right. And Psyche he said it's yellowish, ochre colored. All right. So the agent says, move in time to the time indicated in the envelope I provided you and describe what's happening. So the psychic says, I'm tracking severe clouds, more like dust storms. It's a geologic problem. It seems to be like just a minute. I've got to iron this out. It's really weird. Agent says, just report your raw perceptions at this time. You're still early in the session. And you notice, I like how the agent keeps the psychic right on from letting their brain kick in and just kind of just give me what you're getting. Don't think about it. Like, give me what you got. I love that. That's what you got to do. So the agent says, I'm looking at the after effect of a major geologic problem. So, all right, so that's what the psychic said. The agent says, okay, go back to that time before the geologic problem. So the psychic says, he's like total difference. It's he's like before there's no like I don't know, oh hell. It's like mountains of dirt appear and then disappear when you go before, and large flat surfaces like very smooth angles, walls. They're really large though. I mean, they're megalithic. So the agent says, all right, at this period in time now, before the geologic activity, look around in and around this area and see if you can find any activity. Psych says, I'm seeing it's like a perception of a shadow of people. Very tall, thin. It's only a shadow. It's as if they were there and they're not there anymore. Agent says, go back to a period of time when they're there. Psychic says, he mumbled something. It's like I get a lot of static on a line of everything. It's breaking up all the time, very fragmentary pieces. So the agent says, just report the raw data. Don't try to put things together. Just report the raw data. So again, keeping them on track, right? Psychic says, okay, I just keep seeing very large people. They appear thin and tall, but they're very large, wearing some kind of strange clothes. All right. Now this is what the agent says. All right. Now holding in this time period, I want you to move from your physical location in space to another physical location. But in this time period, now move to 46.45 north and 353.22 east. Move in this time to 46.45 north, 353.22 east. The psychic says, deep inside of a cavern, not a cavern, more like a canyon. I'm looking up the sides of a steep wall that seems to go on forever, and there's like a structure with a it's like the wall of a canyon itself has been carved. Again, I'm getting a very large structures, no intricacies, huge sections of smooth stone. So the agent says, do the structures have insides and outsides? The agent, psychic says, yes, they're very tall. It's like a rabbit warren's corner of rooms. They're really huge. I don't feel like I'm standing in one. It's just really huge. Perception is that the ceiling is very high, walls very wide. So the agent, real time, says real time plus 22 minutes. Right? Agent says, he said, yes, that would be correct. All right, I'd like to move now to another location nearby. All right, move from this point to another. 45.86 north, 354.1 east. You know, like as I read this, some of these things sound eerily familiar. The walls, the smooth walls, carvings into walls. I mean, you can find that in the Southwest and other areas around the world. Uh, just really interesting that, and I mean, it would make sense for the creatures in that place to do that. You know, if they're going to build into what's there. You know, I mean, it's not building houses or building buildings, that type of thing. If they had to make the mad dash because of a geological problem, they would have to go more, you know, like deeper into the planet, right? Anyway, so he moves to another location. So the psychic says they have what appears to be the end of a very large road, and there's a marker thing that's very large. Keep getting Washington Monument overlay, like an obelisk, right? Obelisk, which you find in Egypt, big deal, right? Obelisks. Uh, the agent says, "All right, from this point, then let us move to another point." So the psychic says, you know, I won't give you the coordinates. Skip over that. Psychic says, it's like I'm in the middle of a huge circular basin of the range of mountains by almost all the way around. Very ragged mountains, very tall. Basin is very large. Scale seems to be off or something. It's just really big. Everything's big. The agent says, I understand the problem. Just continue. The psychic says, see just a right angle corner to something, but that's all. I don't see anything else. The agent says, okay, let's move to a little different place, very close. Move to the point that from your now to this point. Gives him the coordinates. The psychic said the cluster of squares up and down. He's like, it's like you want to make them square anyway. They're almost flush with the ground, and it's like they're connected. Something very white or reflects light. So the agent says, what's your position of observation as you look at this thing that reflects light? And the psychic says, I'm amid uh, oblique left angle. Sun is weird. The agent says, look back down at the ground, and we're going to move just a little bit from this place. Gives them new coordinates. Psychic says, it's like I can just perceive like a radiating pattern of some kind. It's like some really strange intersecting kind of roads that are dug into valleys, you know, where a road is just a little below the edge. The agent says, tell me about the shapes of these things. Psychic says, they're like real neat channels cut. They're very deep. It's like the road went down. So the agent says, okay, now I notice electrically you're nulled out a little bit, and I want you to stay deep and recapture your focus here. You see, so think about this agent who's worked with all these other mediums, getting the same answers, you know, basically getting the same answers from these different people who didn't even know each other or know that they were part of the program. You know? and then he knows kind of how to keep them grounded to continue. So the psychic says it's really tough. It seems like it's just always very sporadic. The agent says, I realize that it's very important that you maintain your focus. I have a movement exercise again for you, and this is some considerable distance away. So holding the focus in time, remember the focus that you had before and move now to 15 degrees north, 198 degrees east. He said, take some time and get back deep. So the psychic says, he says, see the intersection and whatever these are, these aqueduct type of things, these rounded bottom carved channels like roadbeds. So you can see pointed tops of something like on the horizon. Even the horizon looks funny and weird. It's like different, misty, and it's really far away, very vague. So the agent says, okay, another movement now, gives him more coordinates, tells him to move in. The psychic says, I see pyramids. I can't tell if it's overlay or not because they're different. Okay, the agent says, do these pyramids have insides and outsides? The psychic says, uh-huh, got both. And they're huge. It's really, it's an interesting perception I'm getting. So the agent says, I think that he's losing his ability to move accurately, but he is attracted to things that are interesting. So we're going to go with his own. We're going to let him go ahead and explore what seems to be interesting to him rather than move the targets indicated here. The psychic says, it's filtered. It's filtered from storms or something. So the agent says, say that again. The psychic says, they're like shelters from storms. The agent says, these structures you're seeing? Psychic says, yes, they're designed for that. The agent says, okay, go inside one of these and find some activity. Tell me about it. And then they waited 37 minutes. The psychic says, okay, different chambers, but they're almost stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything. It's like strictly functional for sleeping, or that's not a good word, hibernations, some form. I can't I can't get a real raw inputs. Storms, savage storms, and sleeping through storms. So like a shelter, right? Where people will go from terrible storms. Huh? But the agent says, tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms. The psychic says, very tall, again, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because of their height and they dress like it. He says, "Oh hell, it's like a real light silk, but it's not flowing type of clothing. It's like cut to fit." The agent says, "Move close to one of them and ask them to tell you about themselves." The psychic says, "They're ancient people. They're dying. It's past their time or age." The agent says, "Tell me about this." The psychic says, "They're very philosophic about it. They're looking for a way to survive, and they just can't." So then another 40 minutes passes by. Okay. The psychic says, can't seem to get their way out. They can't seem to find their way out. So they're hanging on while they're looking or wait for something to return, something coming with an answer. Now, this is where I want to stop for a minute. They're waiting for something to return or something coming with an answer. I want to connect that with Noah's Ark, with the story of Noah's Ark, right? And what got me when I was watching that horrible movie Noah with I don't know, the people in there were like, oh my god, I guess they had to keep it rolling with famous people, but it wasn't really descriptive of what had happened. But anyway, the pairs of animals, the pairs. When I heard the word pairs, I'm like pairs. You're like chromosome, pairs of chromosomes, like pairs, or getting into DNA and creating DNA. Any advanced culture, I mean, with real, truly, advanced systems, could design DNA, could create whatever they want to create. Because only There's only 4 elements to DNA. Is A, C, T, and G. Those 4 blocks, you put those in different orders and different sequences, and you get all kinds of different stuff. But that's it. Same for all animals on the planet. So you have a common denominator in DNA with life forms, right? And these guys are waiting for something to come back and let them know. So I will continue. Yeah. Okay. And this is going to freak you out, this part. The agent says, what are they waiting for? So the psychic says, there evidently was a group or party of them that went to find a new place to live. It's like I'm getting all kinds of overwhelming input of the corruption of their environment. It's failing very rapidly, and this group went somewhere like a long way to find another place to live. So if you're on Mars, the closest planet to you that's going to sustain your life is Earth, right? Not far away, especially if you've got the technology, the ships, whatever you got to get there. And this is a million years ago. A million years. So, like I said, with Noah, think about it. Noah's great 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 grandfather was Enoch. Enoch was in the Bible was one of the only ones who never died, who ascended to heaven. you know, and then Methuselah is also in that line. So then, if you get into the Watchers and all that, the angels that came down that they called fallen angels, which they may be wrongly named as fallen angels, because these were the big, tall, thin people that came down and taught mankind basically how to do things, how to survive easier, right? So if you start putting it together, you're like, okay. The agent says, what was the cause of the atmospheric disturbance or the environmental disturbance? Psychic says, I see a picture of he's like, oh hell. It's almost like a warp in he's like, oh God, this is difficult. It's like going. He's like, let's see. So agent says, raw data. Psychic says, oh, I get a globe. It's like a globe that goes through a comet's tail, or it's through a river of something, but it's all very cosmic. It's like space pictures. The agent says, all right, now before you leave this individual, ask him if there's any way that you can ask him if he knows who you are, and is there any way you can help him in his present predicament. And this blows my mind too. This dude is basically having a communication with a being from a million years ago in real time. You know what I mean? I mean, that's, I know, all right. I know we have email and phone calls, but come on. A million years ago, another planet, another species. All right, so Psychic says, all I get is that they must just wait. Doesn't know who I am. I think he perceives I'm a hallucination or something. So then you got this big tall thing up there a million years ago, waiting for the end of the whatever, having a hallucination. Who's this dude? Oh, look, who's this little guy in the corner? Okay. Agent says, okay. When others left, these people are waiting. When others left, how did they go? And the psychic says, I get an impression of don't know what the hell it is. It looks like inside of a larger boat. Very rounded walls and shiny metal. Sound familiar? I don't know about the shiny metal, but the rounded walls. All right. Go along with them on their journey and find out where it is that they go. That's what the agent says. So the psychic says, impressions of a really crazy place with volcanoes and gas pockets and strange plants. Very volatile place. It's very much like going from the frying pan to the fire, The difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not have it, and different kind of storms. So the agent says, "All right, it's time to come back now to the sound of my voice and to the present time, to right now, the 22nd of May, 1984. The sound of my voice. Move now." Let me do this. Do it right for you guys. Move now back to the room, back to the sound of my voice, back further now to the sound of my voice on the 22nd of May, 1984. Yeah, that would suck if you got left behind a million years ago. I know sometimes psychics can't break out of that stuff. You know, they got to ground themselves. We've gone through that. They'd be stuck. Where are you? I'm on Mars. Mars. I can't get any food to eat. I don't know what they've got. So it sounds awfully plausible in the world of plausibility that, looking at the timeline, judging from what humans say about fallen angels and all that, judging what from the Hopi Indians say about the ant people who came and saved them, judging from Admiral Byrd's diary about the master who lives in the center of the world and whatever at South Pole and the silver discs. Yeah, man. Put it all together. But this isn't hearsay. This is the CIA, right? And they're not in the business of really making mistakes, screwing around, because nobody wants to have their name on that file. You know what I mean? You're the one. So this went on with several different mediums who all gave the same information, basically. Maybe they put it a little differently, but it was the same information. So that's what I like about it too. They cross-checked it, and I think that it makes more sense than anything, because it doesn't make sense for a handful of humans to bring together all these animals from around the world and pair them up and stick them in an ark, and you're floating around for God knows how long. Also, there's not enough water on the earth. I don't know if you know that, to cover everything up. So otherwise it would be. So even with everything melting, it doesn't matter. You're not going to be able to do it, right? I know they say there was major cataclysms and earthquakes and this and that, this happened and that. Yeah, that's great. I totally understand. But I know that humans are shepherded by different life forms. We are taught different things and we understand different things. But yes, I think absolutely that this is 100% factual. And I think that what the guy was reading was that. And there's no time frame for Moses. And even Enoch, the reason why God plucked Enoch off of the earth and up to the second heaven and then heaven, right, was because a great flood was coming. But then he said it wasn't going to happen for hundreds of years. They don't know. The more you go back in time, the more they don't understand time, because they didn't really, it wasn't like they had a complete telling and, calendars. Some cultures did a little bit here and there and whatever, but come on, that's only a couple thousand years ago. If you look at Egypt, you look at China, you look at any of that, look at the Mayans. That's recent history compared to all this other stuff. But if you're going to go back, and I mean go back, even let's go back 12,000 years to the first people that were walking around the U.S., the Indigo, the Native Americans, and also the Fremont, right? It makes sense. That's 12,000 years ago. That's a long time ago. And what they do when they came out from the ant people, they made carvings on the walls of the ant people. They're the ones who taught them how to live and sustain their lives. When they came out, what they call the fourth world, depending who you ask, if it's Navajo or Hopi, they all have the same story, but they're all different stories, but they're all the same story. When they came out, they made that carving, and then they went, and that which was in Moab, Moab, Utah, when I was like researching all this a while ago, it all comes back to Moab. They went from Moab out different directions, but this is where all these Indian nations really were. Then they went down to Chaco Canyon in New Mexico and put together a huge place. They were told to do it. Put together a place where all your people can come together, like a Congress, right? All the Indian nations can come together. It was a peaceful place, supposedly a peaceful place. So it makes sense. That makes sense. I love all that stuff. And when I think of this history, I think of that they left in some kind of ark ship, whatever. And if you think about Adam and Eve, and you think about the whole Garden of Eden story, you think about which Adam and Eve was another great 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 grandfather of Enoch and also of Noah and all that, one family line. So I really find it interesting how religion comes into play, and they take these stories and kind of twist them into what they want to twist them into to guide people along. And it's more about, to me, it's more about power and control than knowledge and wisdom, and also being kind. It's not like these guys preach kindness. So I love all these stories. I love the stories of the so-called fallen angels. Enoch says there was 200 of them. He has names for all of them. He had jobs for all of them. They did all different stuff, right? They had tools, carving stone with tools, making them smooth, and you find these structures that are thousands and thousands of years old where they had no tools. Humans didn't have tools. They were using chicken bones, maybe, and you're going to carve these stones into smooth rock and fit them all together. So whatever the beings were that came here had to use at that time the resources of this planet. You had to use those rocks. You had to use the dirt. You had to use the trees and whatever. That's what was here, right? They can bring technology with them. They can utilize their electronic technology, but to actually make things livable, that's what they had to do. So I think that as time goes on, we'll find out more about this, and as people do, if it's our ancient roots, you need to open up your mind. People need to open up your mind and understand that there's a bigger world than they themselves, and there's places that we can go in our minds and make up all kinds of stuff. Sure, I met people like that, but I like the fact that it's a good story. I don't know. It's a good story. It has a happy ending, kind of, sort of. It's a story of survival and how we're going to get there. And obviously, I mean, if you want to start putting things together with all these tall skeletons they find around the world that are 14 feet tall, 20 feet tall, and whatever, you want to start putting all those things together, we can definitely sit around all day and talk about the evidence. And also, when you come out with evidence, it's always some government scientist saying that's not true, that's not it, you're wrong, whatever. So I think they just get paid to say that because they don't want the information to come out yet, right? They're still trying to protect it. But then a lot of these guys, when they're not part of these programs anymore and they retire, they're out there talking about this information, saying this is what they do. So the trust comes from within your heart, and you have to understand that there's things that we don't know, and that's why we're learning. That's why we're on this mission of discovery. That's why we want to know more about our roots, know more about our lives and our fellow people on the planet, and also the future going forward. So all of that and more. Hope you had a good time on this Discovery Paranormal. I will see you guys next week on this here show. United Public Radio Network, UPRN, talkradio.com. UP. I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you guys later. Bye.